Hi and welcome. My name is Tolan and I'm the co-founder of Productivity Me. In this video, we're going to look at the order of operations within Microsoft Excel and how you might avoid common pitfalls when entering data into Excel. So let's get started. If you want to follow along, go ahead and open up exercise file 04.04 and you'll be able to follow along with the information we have on our screen. So earlier in the course, we looked at the idea of calculating year-to-date profits, and that was fun. If you go to the second tab or the second worksheet here, titled 04.04, Order of Operations, you'll notice on the right portion of our screen, we have a column which is labeled PEMDAS, and then the second we have BIDMAS. And there are two different nomenclatures or two different ways of thinking about the order of operations within Microsoft Excel. The first is that of parentheses. So parentheses are going to be these little individual things. Then we have the idea of exponents, which are indicated here by the bracket. We have multiplication, which is indicated by the asterisk. We have division. We have the idea of addition with the plus sign, and then we have the idea of subtraction. Now, when learning about this in the UK system, it may be similar. So you'll have brackets, or this is what we would call brackets in the United States. But then you have orders, which again are indicated by the caret symbol. You have division, which is / multiplication, which is the asterisk. You have addition, which is the plus sign. And then you have subtraction. So these are grouped so that essentially this is the first set of items that will be done. Then we have the second set of items that will be done. And then you can do either multiplication or division. This is kind of perhaps bringing back secondary maths or high school math, as we call it in the US. And then addition and subtraction. So say that we wanted to find the change in the profit. So the change in the profit here, maybe we wouldn't calculate that for the spring, but if we wanted to calculate it for the summer, it would essentially be this value minus this value divided by the original value, right? So it would essentially be what we would call something like, I'm putting in the apostrophe. The apostrophe will essentially display whatever we have without making it a function. So we're going to put in, it's going to be we call it T1 minus T divided by T, right? So if we were to say, it will essentially be this value minus this value divided by this value. So essentially T1 minus T divided by T. So if we do that, we get this huge value. And why do we get that huge value? We get a value of 119. But we know that's not correct, right? Because it's supposed to be 120 minus 80 is equal to 40 divided by 80 is equal to 50, or 50% change in profits. And here we have 119% change in profits. So what's actually happening is essentially, rather than do right to left, it's actually following this this nomenclature here of PEMDAS or BIDMAS. So essentially, Microsoft Excel is going through this equation here, and it's saying, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication? No. Is there division? Yes. So first it's dividing E4 by E4, and then once it's completed that, it's like, okay, now is there any addition? No. Is there any subtraction? Yes. So it's essentially doing this operation, E4 divided by E4, and then eventually getting to subtracting that product or that essentially result from F4. So what we want to do is we actually want to indicate to Microsoft Excel what to do first. And the way that we do that is by using brackets, or in the US we call them parentheses. So by saying, well, first we want you to take F4, first we want you to take 120 and subtract 80. And then the difference between those two seasons or those two quarters, then we want you to divide it by the original amount. So if we were to do that, then we'll get 0.5, which if we were to convert it to a percentage, it would be 50%. Okay, the same would go here, right? So here we basically want to say, well, first we want you to take whatever profit we made in the winter, and we want to subtract the profit that we made before. and then divide it by that profit that we had in the last quarter. And that would give us a 25% change, right? And we could check the math. By saying, okay, well, 150 minus 20 is 30, and 30 divided by 120 is indeed 0.25 or 25%. Now, we could do this the same way by saying, okay, we want to take this value minus this value divided by this value. And you'll notice that I haven't put the parentheses. So when we do this, it's going to be totally wrong. It's basically going to say, okay, again, if we're Excel, we're saying, okay, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication? No. Is there division? Yes. I'm going to basically take 150 and divide it by 150, so that's 1. So then I'm going to take this specific value of H4, which is 300, minus 1, which is the result of 150 divided by 150, and it will give us 299. But if we go in and we indicate the parentheses, then it's actually going to be 100% change. Because it's basically saying 300 minus 150 is 150, divided by 150 is 100% change. So this perhaps wasn't the most clear lesson, but the gist of it, the takeaway, is that there are these order of operations. And if you have an error within Microsoft Excel and you know that it's dead wrong, the first thing to go check is the order of operations. So are you missing a parentheses? Do you perhaps have exponents where you shouldn't? Do you have some issue with multiplication or division, maybe subtraction or addition? But a lot of times it's really going to be these two icons here, the left bracket and the right bracket, or I guess in the US we call them the right parentheses and the left parentheses. So this is particularly true with formulas, which we'll cover more in a later video, but it can be really, really frustrating when you get the wrong answer in Excel, and often it's going to be because you're missing parentheses or you have some issue with the order of operations. In this video, we looked at really the idea of making sure that you have the correct parentheses to indicate to Microsoft Excel which order of operations you want it to do, and then it would go ahead and do that. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the idea of absolute, relative, and mixed references. So join us for that in the next video. All right, thanks for watching.